welcome to the Squeaky Wheel Farm. I'm Christine, and I just wanted to take a moment to explain what we're doing here with this hoop house today. We do have some big plans for next year, so I wasn't going to change the plastic, although it is due for it. But there is one thing that I wanted to tell you about. This was the first hoop house that we had built, and I made a mistake. When we first built it, I was under the impression that the wind would be very hard on it. And I thought by putting it at the bottom of a hill, kind of in a swale, that I would have better luck, the wind wouldn't bother it, and it hasn't. But I have come across some problems when you've got cold air usually sinks down. And in the wintertime, when I'm trying to retain heat in the greenhouse, all that cold air is sliding down the hill and coming to the greenhouse and then going through the plastic. So what we've decided to try this year, just as an experiment, is we are putting some round bales on the north side and the west side of this hoop house. And that will hopefully insulate it a little bit so that the immediate ground on the north and the west side won't freeze, first of all, because that's a big thing. And then the second thing is hopefully it'll take some of that cold air and move it away from the greenhouse. I've tried insulating it from the inside. I did that last year with very minor success. I think I got maybe 1 degree of heat retention. It was maybe just a couple of degrees warmer inside the greenhouse than it was out. So I'm hoping that just these hay bales on the north and the west side of the greenhouse will help to insulate it a little bit, keep the ground from freezing, so that I can continue to grow at least some cold weather crops in there. Come along with us and I'll show you how we're getting that done. Wanted to mention that this experiment is not going to cost us anything. He's got the hay bales. These are old ones that we purchased from the neighbor. We were just going to use it for, bedding, or like when it gets really muddy, just laying it down. It's not good quality stuff, and he was going to stack them out in the field anyways along the fence row. So I said, why not just stack them along the greenhouse and let's see if this works. If I damage my plastic, I'm not really upset about it because this should have been changed this year. So anyway, it's an experiment. We're going to try it and see if it does help retain some of that temperature inside, especially with what I've got planned for insulating the inside and protecting the plants. I'll show you what we're going to do there as well. So this should give you an idea as far as what I'm dealing with. I'm trying to keep the camera on a level plane, but the greenhouse itself is in a little dip. We're doing our best to alleviate the problem until we can get the greenhouse moved. I've got some other things that I want to try this year as well. I've only had 3 water barrels in there before, thinking that that would be enough, or at least to start. And I am aware that they should be black, so I've got several more that I purchased that I'm working on painting, and hopefully the paint will stick to the plastic. I'm not sure how that's going to go either, but if I can get some more water containers for heat sink in there, I'm hoping that I can at least hold on to some of the warm temperatures on the days that I do get sunlight. There are an awful lot of days here in the wintertime where we just don't ever see the sun, and on those days it does heat up a little bit, but it's not to the range that it normally would. So this is an experiment. I'll keep working on it. I'm not sure if I'm going to cover those bales with a tarp or not and connect it to the greenhouse. I think that would help. Maybe even if I stuff some leaves or something in between, because there is a little bit of a gap between the greenhouse. But I think just just keeping the ground from freezing and keeping the cold air from coming down into that swale, it might help. At least I won't be fighting the cold as much as I did before. Now the south side, we do want to keep that open so that we don't block any of the sunlight. A couple years ago I tried the John Payne method, coiling some hose around and then building a compost pile on top of it for heat, with the plans on bringing the heat inside the greenhouse. Well, the compost pile invited a whole lot of pests. I had a groundhog and some other pests in there. It never did heat up enough to provide me with any heat, so I think my pile just was not big enough. It needs to be truly massive to be able to heat up something with just a single layer of plastic. Now these are the hoops that I'm going to use to cover up both sides of the greenhouse, and I'll put a second layer of plastic over those so that I have, you know, a second layer of protection for these plants. And I'll show you what that looks like in the greenhouse. I'll just attach those to the wall, both walls, and then bring a layer of plastic down over, and that should give me a second layer of protection for those days when it's really cold. And I did want to talk about these pipes here. So we have buried some of this drainage pipe about 8 feet down, and I used 2 coils of it, and with the thinking that I can pull up some of the 52-degree heat from the ground as a geothermal source of heat. And here's the 2 pipes on this side. I did have some fans pulling up air before, but they weren't enough. They did not provide enough air exchange, so there really wasn't anything blowing out. Again, I might have gotten maybe 1 degree of heat out of it, but not what I had hoped for. So got some new fans coming for that. I do want to apologize that I don't have any finished projects to show you today. A lot of this is a work in progress, but we're really pressed by the weather right now, and we've got some other things that are going on. We're trying to upgrade our chicken coop, so we are building them a whole new shed, and it's turned out to be quite a bit more work than what I anticipated. I hope to have them in their permanent home soon. Another week maybe, and they should be inside. I am planning on bringing in as many barrels as I can cram in here full of water. We will be able to retain some heat that I get during the daytime and let that come off into the greenhouse, you know, at night when there is no sunlight. Do me a favor and don't forget to tune back in. I'm going to have another video out and show you exactly what I get accomplished in this greenhouse. And I'd like to share some of my successes and failures with you. If you're interested in that, tune back in. Thanks again. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. Oh, and one more thing. I hope to see you again soon. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, watch this next.